past. The ease of execution of a Varus Leona just looking at you, poking you down. Not to forget the Lee Sin as well as Cassante flanking. And on top of all that, the delivery ball system for that shockwave. It's certainly going to be an uphill battle as ION are hunting for all 3 points here in a perfect 2-0. But if Mammoth can pull this one off, this will probably be the biggest upset of them all.
Yeah, so Predator did decide to go for the Halo Blaze instead of the first strike that we're used to seeing from the AP Kai'Sa. Curious to see how he's going to play this lane if he does want to be a bit more aggressive into the Orianna. I think it's scary though, matching Orianna's early prowess, and Predator might be collapsed on here by multiple members.
Certainly seems to be the case right now, but is eventually able to rally the troops and make sure that nothing really is going to come off that one. In the end, it's just going to be a simple recall for a couple of these players. So all that early game vision seemingly going to go in the favor of Mammoth. They continue to step up and almost wait for Coley to show up once again.
This is very interesting because Gooder, I assume he's going to try play for that, wrap the camp, steal away, get it underneath Coley's nose so he really messes up his early path. Very nice that, he's forced in the base, but he's going to walk in here, and I don't think he really wins this 1v1 early on here, especially if Coley holds the point.
Well, Predator will be peeled away from that one, but the Bramble Smash has been leveled up, so Predator looks at it and says, yeah, look, we don't win this 1v1 or 1v2, so let's just peel away, play at our lanes, and not try and make this game any harder than it already looks like.
Yeah, Gooder just being a pest, honestly, there. Knows he doesn't win, but he's walking back in to try find the smite. At least Maokai is very good at executing these camps, especially with the Q smite. The amount of damage you do is unmatched, especially Lee Sin does not have the Sonic Wave to execute the camp. So another camp steal away from Gooder, same thing that we saw in the first game. But Coley should feel confident if he does want to invade later on and take that skirmish as Lee Sin to take it to Gooder. The only strength that Gooder has is he is really good at securing the camps with that, Bramble Smash into Smite.
Yeah, both games though, hasn't it been, where he's invaded the chickens and secured it nice and early for himself. So let's see if that really allows him to become a bit of a menace. I'm curious to see what Gooder's build itself actually will be, whether or not we're going to be looking at Liliandries for the saplings to be a little bit annoying, or if it is all going to be on the likes of, Voice and Praetor to try and farm up and be that menace. It's been such a long time since we've last seen Seraphine. I'm curious as to what the optimal comp would be for it these days, because once upon a time it was a case of, locking a bruiser, be it the Xin, Olaf, Lee Sin in the jungle, and you're just giving them infinite shields and sustain to really try and win over that mid game.
Yeah, I think they have that right now. They have the front line from the Renekton Maokai, so you can really abuse those Seraphine shields and sustain that comes out of it. Just any CC that can allow you to land the, the one root combo that we're used to seeing from Seraphine. Usually you need to hit two yourself if you want to find the root, but if you get one that is onto someone who's already taking a form of CC, you find that root. So it's nice to pair with the Maokai, with the Renekton, even with the Ashe Slow, which does proc it. So it's a good combo in the bot lane for trading. I think, once again, hard to get through this laning phase, but if they do, it'll be very comfy.
Certainly could be. Gunkrab is the focus right now. Nice early cleanse comes out as a result, and a bit of harass goes back towards Hexflash to answer back, but Voice is running low on mana. Two fights happening on two separate occasions right now, and it's going to be first blood that goes the way of Predator thanks to some nice little jungling there by Gudo. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Coley tried to make something happen, but Voice, as well as Gunkrab, so protected underneath this tower. They're going to wait for the push of this wave and then try it one more time.
No one's here to save them, Skibby. Predator cannot TP to this one, and I think it's going to be a very easy double kill for the ION bot lane.
Hexflash is going to suck up the tower and fall down there after Styx tanks up the tower. He's going to die too. It's a double kill for Voice. He's not done yet. Coley is trying to make matters worse, but it just doesn't matter. Voice, such a great bait as the Seraphine. Look how squishy I am. But this tower, especially when ramped up, basically one hit only 4 minutes in.
Yeah, and Voice is online now. He's going to base. He doesn't have summoners though, so this might be very scary for him for the next 5 minutes. But he has, got through the hardest part of the lane, the early laning phase. He's going to be able to pick up some mana, which means he can play from range and really harass with the Qs, thin out the wave if, Gunkrab is zoned from minions. But I think the main thing here was the fact they got that kill onto Jovi in mid lane, and Predator has really navigated the hardest part of this early game. He still has his TP, so if he does get harassed down the 1v1, he can always reset and come back.
And he certainly can. Let's see if that's going to be warranted anytime soon, because you can see Gudo still being a bit of a pest here, getting invaded on one of his camps. It says, well, is there anybody here to back me up? Answer at this stage would be no. The bot lane is pushed against them. Predator locked underneath this tower. We'll just have to give up that red buff.
Yeah, we do see Predator going for the slingshot, worst item in the game, by the way. But it means that the build that he is going for won't be that, Mirror Mana into full AP poke Kai'Sa that we're used to seeing in the mid lane. It's going to be the, the classic on hit. I assume he's going to go for the static shift to allow him a bit more wave clear in the lane, where he's know, doesn't really have much control of the wave, especially against the Oriana. So he's going to go for that, you know, Shiv item into the on-hit build that we saw from Violet yesterday, but with the AP variation.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And it's also worth noting with the Seraphine, whilst we did actually see it last played by King in Split 1, it was usually as a TP Seraphine, right? You were actually actively farming, usually paired with the likes of a Senna, or in King's occasion, it was actually paired with the Bard. But this time, it's Ashe taking all the farm. It will be an exclusive Seraphine support, but 2 kills to start things off. Certainly going to allow them to, you know, get those support items nice and quickly and be that big bully.
Yeah, farming Seraphine is a completely different story because your range is extremely long, especially in the bot lane where most champs don't have this range match that you can get in the mid lane. So it's very easy to farm and play from range, especially, you know, get the tier, scale up safely, and Seraphine becomes one of the strongest champs in the game. When we hit that, you know, 4 or 5 items point, if it does end up being a full AP Seraphine, it is so hard to deal with the amount of sustain that comes out of that champion.
Oh, Shockwave very close to landing, but a cheeky supercharge and a bit of a taunt thereafter from Praetor, saying try again next time, buddy. Doesn't have to burn a flash, can simply walk out of that one. And that's quite nice, honestly, for Praetor, because despite getting that first blood, he is down CS. Coley with a good flash across the wall after copying the stun there from Reneko. And these grubs will be denied, so 1 goes the way there for Ion. Similarly, the rest going to be scooped up here by Gudo.
Yeah, and the main thing for Gudo here is he's going to find a bit of experience because he is falling behind in the camps. He's running around the map quite a lot, trying to match this Lee Sin as much as possible in the game to make sure he cannot do anything to, you know, really explode the volatility and make sure his team can snowball. But, Jimmy, we talked about how Mammoth needs to get through the early game. They need to get through these first couple waves, and I think they've honestly done a really good job at that. There's not a lot of volatility on the map for Ion right now, and I think that's what they needed. I'm afraid for the Ion side, if this does, you know, reach that mid-game point, how are they really going to deal with the strength of the Seraphine? It's not going to be so one-sided where it's like, oh, they got to 2 items, all of a sudden, you know, Mammoth's comp auto wins. There's still going to be a lot of value out of this Leona because there's so many targets for him to engage on, but we might see Doraemon, you know, find a really nice solo kill here.
Well, he's definitely hunting for it right now. He's popped the ghost. Reneko's only used that slice and dice because that's all he has up and available for him. The flash was burnt prior, the dominance was baited out, and I think Doraemon says, well, that's a win for me. I've committed something, you have too, the kill pressure still exists, and maybe now we say, you know what, tried once, it failed before, let's try it again. Styx tanks it up initially, fires the piercing arrow from afar, and Hex Flash in his dying breath will fall on down all the same. Yet again, it is Voice that picks up the kill credit, and now he's got 3 to his name. Predator having TP'd into bot lane, rocks up to the party, gets an assist, and gifts secure to Gunkrab too.
And as easy as that, teaming. I think Mammoth are going to be really happy with the initial 1-for-1 to begin with for the counter dive, but we see Praetor's TP coming through, you know, sacks his mid-wave, we see Gudu covering it, and he finds the Void Seeker, which means he can follow it up with the ulti and get the trade kill himself, which is so nice to him because he's finally just needs to get gold in the early game. But I think the split focus here on the dive, we see the ult going onto Gunkrab, but the damage going onto the Void, so, you know, Styx just isn't able to do as much damage as he really needs to in this dive, but Coley just doesn't have access to his flash here, and it's just a really nice pickup kill by Praetor on the exit.
And here I was thinking, whilst the game plan hasn't been as aggressive as you would expect from the draft into what has been put together here by Mammoth, I thought there's a world in which you hit level 6, and now you've got that extra layer of CC, and that really was their chance to showcase it, right? But unable to execute on the same page, and certainly gifting the likes of Mammoth more and more opportunities to get to mid-game in a stable position. Doraemon, once again, having a crack at things, knowing that everything was burnt by Reneko previously. So back-to-back on those Intofo strikes, dragging him back in. He's still going all out, but he's going to get locked in place by the Maokai, and in the end, cannot kill confirm. Frustration for him. Meanwhile, Ion will say we need to try and salvage something a little bit elsewhere. Sonic Wave simply goes wide, anticipating that Praetor may have been a little bit quicker. But Jovi, I mean, look at him go, building a bigger and bigger lead by the minute.
It just keeps continuing to build a lead. He's going to get 6 meters every wave because he's just constantly, you know, killing the wave before it even meets, as we see here on the screen. And Praetor's always answering the waves under his turret, always having to dance around, you know, the command attack from Jovi to make sure that he's getting harassed for every single minute. It's one of the Ori's biggest strengths is you can play outside tower range while still harassing, and you're really, you know, weaving orders on the turret in between to make sure you're getting at these plates and being as strong as possible. When you see he's finally got the soul shooters, he's going to TP back to lane, and this is when it's going to start hurting for Praetor a lot.
Certainly will do. But I'm sure once Praetor can find those crucial evolutions, that's when the matchup will look to try and swing in their favor, given that they will have the power to truly answer back rather than him to peel away to these other lanes and influence the states, you know, elsewhere. Reese is going to group up. already has completed his very first item, Echoes of Helia. Not an item we see all too often, quite honestly. Very much dominated by the likes of, your Shurelia's, Imperial Mandate, and even the Moonstone for a fair bit of time. I think on this occasion, a little bit of extra sustain, a little bit of extra damage. Certainly can't go amiss.
Yeah, to me, Skimmy, as a mid laner, whenever I first tab and look at spawns, I see there's the Moosey one or the healing ones, and that's all I think about. I don't really look at it too much more because, there's a lot of different variances with like what they do and how much damage they give and how much healing they give. But to me, they're the same thing. But Gunkrab is in a lot of trouble right here, and he does not have the team this time to be able to help him out. Voice was mid lane to make sure, Predator was getting healed up, and unfortunately, they don't find the trade that time. Gunkrab, holds his summoners because he feels like, oh, there's no way for me to play this. So hopefully next time with the summoners he is holding, it will matter.
This time on occasion, only one person targets to get it done nice and easy. Out goes the Encore. 2 members charmed. The follow-up damage is there, but Collie jumps across the wall. Praedyth loses range and is unable to do that much more damage. The Nature's Grasp to follow things up. Instant cleanse from Sticks as he sidesteps the piano right after. And he's just getting hit by multiple members from really a million miles off screen, thinking, why on earth are you over-chasing me? Meanwhile, top lane, another 1v1 takes battle. As you see this time, Reneko feeling himself, actually flashing forward, thinking he has lethal. But Toryumon just simply walking away.
It just barely out of range to find his stun. He wants to use the Fury onto the heal and then, use the stun to finish him off, but just out of range, unfortunately. The Ghost was still ticking for Toryumon there, but a lot of respect given to Predator there by Jovi. I think that when he ulted in to, find the kill onto Coley, that Jovi was going to be able to kill him and trade it off, but Jovi instantly flashed over the wall, and I think that's probably a bit too much respect given to the Kaiser at this point in the game.
Really is. Still just sitting on components, but the static shift now has been completed. And you mentioned before, right, why we saw it all the time by LeBlanc, not as commonly these days. Going to certainly feel a lot better in the hands of a pseudo AD carry.
Yeah, the item has definitely changed now, Skimmy. So instead of like, it's like an energized proc on every 100 energy, you get that shift proc on the entire way. Now it procs on minion kills and then becomes enhanced when it executes a champion. So we'll get to see hopefully in fights when you do get this, energized proc onto the champions, it will do a big amount of magic damage across the entire team, and sometimes you get to pick up these exit kills on members who are just off screen, which does feel very nice and fulfills the dopamine that you're trying to chase.
100%. Just a little cheeky ignite tick at the very end there, just to splash them on down. They're thinking, how on earth is that connected with me? And now your favorite item in the slingshot is no longer there on your screen to be upset about. Meanwhile, though, 2 lanes being pushed at once, pretty much like we saw in game 1, to be fair. But we're just looking to try and play for turrets on opposite ends. And with 5 turrets, or rather 5 grubs there to favor Mammoth, I mean, this turret is just going to fall on down. It gets very low, if not for that pesky Doraemon rocking back up to lane. But with Gudo hovering, maybe they still will play.
And we do see Voice coming to hover bot lane, so the dive is very difficult for Arm, but they don't have a turret, so maybe it is an easy dive because they don't even need to dive them under a turret, Skimmy, so very easy to pick up for them. But I do like the lane swap by Mammoth, making sure that the CC is against the Orianna. We don't see any tenacity or, the cleanse coming out of Jovi, so the arrow, which was just thrown off screen, could have punished him. Doesn't matter anymore, Skimmy.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, just the trading of ults in the mid lane there as Jovi locks him down with that shockwave and makes sure that Gunkrab isn't going to feel as protected to really push up the sway. But with the assistance of Voice rocking up to the party, can certainly make sure that you can stick around a little bit more before you do go back to base to pick up your first item. But you can see overall, though, it is that lethality Varus reigning supreme so far, 6,500 gold to his name. It doesn't matter right now because it's all about Doraemon surrounded by 3 members. The Pathmaker is good. The Encore is going to connect, and with no flash, no ghost, there's just not enough ground to cover to run away from the rampage coming towards you.
And there's the main carry picking up more gold. The Voice Seraphine going to be very accelerated heading into this mid game. 4 kills to him. He's going to be very, very strong. Doraemon always with a really nice escape, using the Pathmaker into the all-out, into the second Pathmaker to, try find as much as possible. But Flash coming out of Hex Flash. Trade summoners, not much going to be more found than that. But look in the top lane, we see Predator constantly pushing waves, finding these 5 grubs, but he is getting collapsed on by his team, or the enemy team. Can his team make it in time to help him out?
Let's see, though, it's a bit of an awkward situation for Predator to play towards this team whilst TPs are coming in to back up the side of Ion. It's a 1v1 that takes place between Hexflash and Predator, and occasion where you get a little bit confused here because Gudo's gone one way, deterred by the rest of the Ion ganking squad, and what looked like an Ion, rather a Mammoth collapse, ends up being one in which Ion get to profit.
Yeah, and it was a collapse onto Praetor, but the disconnection from Mammoth meant Gudo went in when the TP was already being, sent there by Doraemon, and he was just a sitting duck at that point. But honestly, better that he dies than Praetor. There could have been an option for, Ion to commit and kill Praetor there when he doesn't have access to the summons. He needs to get out of there. But luckily for him, he stays alive. He's able to keep farming, has access to the Q evolution. Now he's going to, build towards the Rage Blade and find his E evolution next.
So strong as Jovi. He's even able just to bully out Renekton, right? Not scared whatsoever about the ability for the Renekton to pounce on with that Black Cleaver and shred him on down. Is opting for that more tanky build with the Archangel Rush coming out nice and early. Certainly have seen builds in the past, right, where you go for the Banshee Zell thereafter, or perhaps even a Zonius and just become an absolute stone wall to try and get through. Out goes the Dragon's Rage, the Flash Burn, but the Sonic Wave always there to connect. The Zenith Blade to follow, and Gunkrab unfortunately falling on down yet again as Styx picks up his 4th of the game. And now they wonder, where do we go to next? Because there is a Herald to look at.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the story of Gunkrab. We keep seeing him a bit overextended, a bit disconnected from his team, probably feels safer than he should, and he constantly is getting punished for it, constantly getting found out of position, and I think that, dying and blowing a summoner is way, way, way more impactful than, just falling over and keeping that flash to make sure you can, navigate this next team fight.
What is Praetor cooking right now? Unfortunately, it is a cheeky little death, but look at the shielding, look at the healing. He's actually lived 50 HP and a dream. I thought it was a done deal, but with everything coming to his aid, they turn it around in the end. Will that be their downfall? Because a lot was burnt to protect him. Iron do eventually pick up the Herald, and a fight breaks out in the bot lane between these two bruises. Does anything come of this one? I don't expect it to be. But my God, this is getting a little bit spicy now, Tally, as Iron take the gold lead.
It's definitely an action-packed game. I am not sure what Praetor was cooking there. He had no responsibility being there, poking them on the Rift Herald. That objective was completely free for Iron, so he has to blow his ult and flash to live. Voice, very nice Seraphine ult means that he gets to live there in the end and walk out of that one with minimal amounts of health. He needs to, work towards getting his items as soon as possible, because the only time we're going to really see this pass be able to take over this game is when those, levels in the W come through and the amount of AP. But Renekton without the ult is found out by Doraemon, and that's an easy kill for him.
It is in the end, yeah, as you say, tries to burn the flash, cover some distance, gain a little bit of cooldown reduction, but it wasn't to be. In the end, Doraemon just too aggressive, too on the pulse to run you down and not fall to any of those crazy little juking shenanigans. So Mammoth are going to be looking to not be risk adverse, but look to peel away from entertaining any 5v5s in the meantime. Praetor back to those pushing ways.
They need to dive with
the assistance of Gudo and Voice. They're going to say, Jovi, you have been a bit of a threat this game. You need to perish. The shockwave is there. It's a one-man ult onto Praetor. The self-healing shield is good, but it's not enough to get through all of this. And with a wave just barely hanging on, they're going to try and take down this tower too.
They will get the tower skimmy, but look at the collapse coming out of the Iron side. They're completely outnumbered, and I'm not sure they cannot get out of this one, but how many members can they take before they fall down?
Styx boosting his way up to try and entertain this fight. The Ash Arrow comes across, but hits nothing. Piercing Arrow gets it done. Starts it by taking Gudo for 30 seconds. Shut down again, found by Doraemon, as he's able to take apart Praetor. And in the end, they don't find any more than that of Jovi. And it's a bit of a wipe as Iron take it all.
Yeah, that would have been Gunkrab going down as well if that Sonic Wave did land, but it does go wide. Happens to the best of us sometimes, Skimmy, so give him the benefit of the doubt. But still, another, win for Ion. They collapse, even though Jovi does fall down, they lose the inner turret. They use their priority off the mid wave to collapse, and as I was saying, it's so important that when you make these side wave plays, you need to be conscious about the mid lane and who can rotate first.
Let's see then what this means for the overall state of the game, because as a result of that, it's a 2k lead. And whilst it starts off really nicely, the turnaround by committing to that tower ends up being a downfall.
Yeah, this is just easy picking for them. We see the Mammoth split up, which means in these isolated fights, there is no hope for them. They don't have the ultis. Very easy kills, especially for Styx to pick up some nice gold in his back pocket. And he is
two dragons. He is very fed, yes, 6-1 right now. A very scary Varus, and this lethality isn't going to be falling off anytime soon, not especially when the Muramana is very close to being complete too, with 320 stacks. I think it's a good time, actually. Thank you very much there to check in with the overall gold. And well, there's a bit of separation between a lot of these players, isn't there? It really is Styx and then all the sort of the NPCs below him.
Yeah, it's just, I guess you could say Styx needs 4 wards this game. He is so fed. Not to say his team is doing bad, but he is so much stronger than the rest of the members on his team and on the rest of the map. You know, no one on Mammoth can stand up to the Marigold he has in his pocket. He's going to complete that Mirror Mana soon. Has the lethality already. He's very far ahead of the clock, so a lot of the damage coming through from his poke is going to stick, and it's going to hurt these members from Mammoth.
As we mentioned before, the next objective on the map there, the Baron, is there for the taking. Whether or not is another game in this series in which we look to try and do those fancy feet dance of who wants to go for this one. Not for the meantime, though, as we still continue to play out towards those side lanes and look to utilize summoner advantages. Speaking of, a lot of these flashes are down at the moment, making Mammoth fairly susceptible to some breakout fights as Hexflash is on the roam, looking to clear out vision. The same play being made from Mammoth on the opposite side to take down Jovi again, but Reneko unable to run away with the same luxury that Jovi just showed you bot side. He gets pounced upon not only by 1, but by 4 in the end. The Asher looks nice, but too little too late. That tower's falling, as is their Renekton.
Let it move, guys. It's unfair. Like, look at all that the amount of CC chain coming through, but the main thing, Skimmy, Baron is up. They have killed the main front line from Mammoth. They do not have access to the Maokai ult to really like walk in if this is something they want to start. To note, though, this is a Varus. They do not have that same Baron threat, the same Baron damage, so this might be the repeat of Game 1 where we saw this Baron taking a very long time to fall down. And without these engage tools, especially in like the Solar Flare, this could be a hard turn for Ion.
Could it be? Certainly could be. Ash Arrow, or rather Ash Vision, always there to try and prevent the fact that you don't have those wards. Hexflash going forward, looking to try and start up the fight, looking to lock down Goodo, remove the smite, remove their opportunity to try and contest this one. It was always looking to be a turn here, Tally. And he sends Goodo back to base for 30 seconds as they go back to the Baron again. Sticks on another double kill, working his way towards 10 kills in double digits. And I think this makes sense for Mammoth. We cannot force this fight towards Baron. We need to utilize this to try and get some turrets. They're going with the Shockwave. Doraemon doing whatever he can, but gets taken down by Gunkrab in the end. He's not too weak, to be fair, with that Kraken and Zeal online. And then Jovi peeling away, Predator getting aggressive and truly playing to his namesake of finding that killer instinct.
Yeah, and he does a really good job to find these 2 kills on a very, very bad situation. I think that Ion, honestly, siding the Baron there and looking for that turn looked very, very bad, but the Mammoth members instantly leave their team who got engaged on. I think that both flashes on the 80 carries, they could have played a bit more aggressive there to help their team out. But Ion don't want to give anything on the map. You know, they split up their members to try and hold this mid lane, and this looked, very bad. But unfortunately, the Shockwave just misses, because of the all out, and that's just really unfortunate. But really well played by Predator to do so much damage here, land all the damage he needs to, and such a nice flash of him to dodge this damage coming out of Styx.
Yeah, piercing arrow certainly would have been enough, and it's enough to also warrant the flash away from Styx and to say, you know what, I've utilized my full combo, you'll get away this time, but I won't afford you that same luxury again. As I mentioned before, 8-1 now, and a 1k shutdown. Very, very strong. Has been afforded a lot of protection. Very hard to try and find access to this Varus, given the amount of frontline you've got to try and get through first of all. But if we continue to do this Baron dance, you just believe there's a way in which Mammoth can look to try and outplay.
I hope we don't see the same case where we saw, Predator sitting in the side lane forever and just, hoping his team can hold out. Makes sense here. They're giving the objective. He's in the side lane trying to get any form of gold. If the Void Seeker does land onto Jovi here, he might go for the all-in, but he is very close to his Nashes, which is his main spike where we get the W evolve. He wants to base and get that as soon as possible.
As you say, yeah, Rage Blade into Static Shears. Certainly a lot of power online for the meantime. Isn't going to fully tech into all that AP poke. Certainly wants to have that hybrid profile of the damage. I'm curious to see what he'll decide to build next. And just, as I say, out comes the Nashes. So, at a very powerful point in the game right now. Only a level away from level 16. He certainly does have the tools to try and showcase why he can flex into those multiple roles. And a bit of an adaptation here from Gunkrab on the Ashes. Rather than go for the Triforce, actually opts for the Runans.
Yeah, I think this is the correct thing to do. When you are behind on these carries, you can never build defensive. You need to build as offensive as possible, as much damage as you can. Obviously, Hurricane isn't the highest damage second item, but allows him to farm a bit faster, get towards that third item next, and we'll have to see what that is.
We have to wait and see as Reneko is under threat. Hexflash hits the ultimate, but only hits the ground on this occasion, and that means that they have to absolutely run away. Flash straight into the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and out comes the Encore to follow it up. So the bot lane and Mammoth looking to try and turn this fight in their favor. Jovi across the wall, hunting for a target with the shockwave, but unable to find that as well. And it really is a case of just chucking in ultimates, see what you can find, but nothing lands.
Yeah, and you would think, based on how that fight looked, that would have been so favorable for Mammoth. We saw the shockwave going wide. Coley, you know, forced the flash up before he can even go into the fight. Hex Flash not letting the Soul Throne a crucial member. And there was just no follow-up from Mammoth. They couldn't do anything because of the amount of threat that Dorimon has when he puts up that Pathmaker and he can easily disengage that fight.
Still, though, is a 4k lead to favour that of Ion, and whilst it wasn't the most impactful Baron buff, only netting them an extra 1k gold in the end, certainly a very important buff to deny from that of Mammoth, because you can imagine, you know, the likes of, you know, Kaiser, Ash, or even Seraphine, having that ability just to sit in a lane and constantly harass and siege and lock you underneath that tower would have been very annoying, and certainly would have been a way back into this game. Jovi showing respect, double flash burn, looking to try and run away, but if the Void Seeker connects, you know that Predative's going to go in. Absolutely obliterates him, and look at the tides have turned. What was the LeBlanc that was fed is now 0-4, and Predative is 4-1. Bit of a menace. I say a menace, and I look at Dorimon, who looks at them in a 1v2 and says, I'm not scared of you, dodges out the arrow from mid lane, and continues to go forward. Styx is coming, and he might be the saving grace here as he loads up the arrow, does not get juked, and finds one. He'll land an ult to guarantee a double, and now he's at double digits with 10 kills to his name.
That is a very, very fit man. Skivvy in the bot lane, coming out of Ion. He's doing so much. He's honestly getting mid priority, roaming to these fights, and he's kind of doing everything himself. Bit of a disconnection from Mammoth again. You know, they're making these side lane plays, but we don't see the TP come out of Reneker. We don't see the rotation coming out of the bot lane from Mammoth. It kind of feels like they're just trying to create, you know, gaps of pressure on the map so the other members can get farm. You know, we see all these waves being pushed in, but I don't know if that's enough, Skimmy. I think Styx is way too strong, but in the past we have seen Styx be so fell in the Varus and just unable to really, you know, be that extra bit of power that they needed in the end game. So we have to see, as you know, more items come through, a bit more sustain comes through for Mammoth, will this perk be landing from or sticking from Styx?
Well, here's a good question, because you can see Predative working his way towards that Zonia's next, and you can imagine the explosive nature that will provide them with the ability to jump in, hit the killer instinct, one-shot somebody, and buy time with a nice little, you know, flash or a Zonia's thereafter, as the rest of the team swarm around to protect you. But it is a confusing case as to will we actually see a Baron go down to favour Mammoth this game, given that they've always been dancing around it, but are unable to execute. They've always been pushed, it feels like, in these lanes, but they definitely stand a much better chance, it feels like, this time.
Yeah, and we see Gunkrab pick up the Bloodthirster now, so he's not going to be doing any damage in these fights, especially to the strong front line of Dorimon, but he has a bit of extra sustain to deal with Styx's poke. You know, if an arrow does land, at least he can heal off the wave, and that's the one saving grace to him. He can still provide a bit of utility with the volley spam, with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, as long as he is alive, and just create a bit more space for Predator to really do damage.
Well, Infernal Soul is up for grabs here in the next 40 seconds. That's what Ion are playing for, with 3 back-to-back dragons going their way. Let's see if they can look to pick that one up as they try and force a bit of a pincer here, coming out of the shrubs into that mid lane. Either side playing towards opposite ends of the rift, however, and Dorimon not interested whatsoever. He's the only one looking to try and play split push right now. His TP is up, top lane is passively pushing, and mid lane's already done its job, so he's going to wrap around, join the fight, but it's already a 4v5, and Ion is winning.
Yeah, easy as that. Reneker tries to stand up to the amount of strength that Styx has right now, but he lands the Chains of Corruption, and it's just a one-shot straight away. Have to see if Mammoth do want to stay around here there. They feel really pressured to contest the Infernal Soul coming out of Ion right now, which is spawning, and they just do not have the control, Skimmy.
A lot of lack of vision from Ion for the members of Mammoth to come in from this angle. The Nature's Grasp roots in place, all 3 members.
Huge
overlap there afterwards. That's fantastic. Can they find the kill? Instant flash away from Styx, protecting his life for the meantime. The Dragon, forget about it. The Chain of Corruptions, it lands. They're onto Goodo, and he just gets lights out, destroyed. The damage from Predative is absolutely 1v9 clutching it right now. Static Shiv resets are putting in work. He'll go gold, and he comes out, and the Void Seeker, oh, Jovi jukes it in the end. Look how much damage the Kaiser did, but just not enough to get them across the finishing line.
What a clutch team fight from Predative. You know, he finds a really nice killer instinct onto Styx initially, chunks him down, then he rotates. Another nice ult from Jovi hits both the carries from Mammoth, but the clutch, super clutch Void Seeker onto Styx on the back end means he falls down. So the shutdown going on to Predative, he has his Zonias completed. What's his next item, Skimmy? I'm really curious to see as we do go into the replay. Watch how Predative navigates this team fight. You know, he goes from one end of the fight to the other. huge song coming out of Voice, you know, does so much lockup for his team. But just watch this Void Stick that comes out of Prey's last second. Iron Sticks on the back end. And really, really saved, you know, this team from, you know, losing the Baron.
Clean. It really was clean, to say the least. If they hadn't found Sticks, it would have been a bit of a dire situation overall. But to get that gold certainly feels very nice. An extra 1k to close the distance between these two. You've actually got the Crucible there online for Voice as well. They need to cleanse. But we're going back to Baron. It's our favorite place for these two teams to fight on out. And who makes the play work in their favor? Aggro to dominance. It's a three-man Solar Flare into absolute destruction. Oh my god. Solar Flare, Shockwave, Piercing Arrow, eat your heart out. And that is a perfect ace.
Yeah, and on top of that, Styx steals the Baron with the arrow. So just no win for Mammoth at all. They say, guys, let's go hit Baron. It's kind of, you know, over for us if they do get Baron at this point. They try to flip the game, but what a nice Solar Flare from Hexflash onto every crucial member of Mammoth. Followed up with the Shockwave, and that is probably going to be our play of the day, Skimmy.
100%. I've already set it to production. That was unbelievable right there. You couldn't ask for much more from a wombo combo setup. And whilst Mammoth were looking at signs of bringing it back, my god, Iron had to really showcase what their comp could do at full power. They do claim the perfect 2-0. They will get all 3 points. And we will once again be looking at Styx doing the Homer grind now as he just jumps onto the bed. Man is happy, and for good reason too. That Varus really was something special.
Yeah, that was definitely a very special performance, and honestly, overall really good performance from him this series. I think it's hard to give anyone out MVP besides Styx this series, but good try by Mammoth. Honestly, I think as the weeks go on, we keep seeing more and more from them. Better looks, you know, more tries, different angles, but just not enough against Ion, who was, you know, such a powerhouse right now for us in this league.